Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show, your beginner-friendly guide to saving in Bitcoin. Happy Friday. Stacking Friday. Another day, another stack. Welcome to the show. This is where we learn about Bitcoin, what it does for us as a savings mechanism. There's a lot of things that Bitcoin can do for you. But here we focus on mostly the savings portion of it. Why it's important to save in Bitcoin. And what does it do for you? Okay. Back in the day when I was a kid, we used to have a commercial that came up that showed a frying pan, and it would say, "This is your brain." It would show an egg, so this is your brain, and then it would show a frying pan with an egg in it, and it would say, "This is your brain on drugs." Word up! Round of applause and shout out from the live studio audience going out for Mr. A Mexican Family Story in the house. What up? That'll be a stream. But yeah, that's how it works, right? When we look at the thumbnail for today's episode, we have a frying pan, and there's ice cubes in the frying pan. The ice cubes represent your savings if you're holding your savings in dollars. Bam, okay? And the frying pan represents inflation. And we're going to dissect that little analogy or that metaphor. We're going to dissect it here on the show today, along with our usually scheduled format. Okay, so we'll do that during the Why We Stack segment. Okay, so for now, let's jump into the first segment of the show that we like to call the Bitcoin Strength. Today, the price of Bitcoin is $97,517.49. You can buy 1,025 Satoshis for a single dollar today. What is a Satoshi? A Satoshi is a fraction of a Bitcoin. Just like a dollar is made up of 100 cents, a Bitcoin is made up of 100 million Satoshis. So when you see the Bitcoin price of $97,000, don't think to yourself, "Oh my God, I'm priced out. I can't afford $97,000 of anything. I'd have to save up to buy a Bitcoin." But that is a problem there. That is the misconception. You don't save up to buy Bitcoin. You save in Bitcoin, okay? Because like I said, you can start with as little as $1. It gets you 1,025 Satoshis today, right? So if you can accumulate slow and steady, the value of your little savings, even if it is just $1, even if it is just 1,025 Satoshis, those 1,025 fractions of a Bitcoin have the same properties as a whole Bitcoin, okay? So on your way to your whole Bitcoin, you're basically shielding the value that you set aside into Bitcoin from inflation. You might be saying, what is inflation? Well, inflation is when the supply of money increases. Each digit of that value of that money system represents less purchasing power. Okay, because just by increasing the supply of money doesn't mean you create any value. Okay, just like if you have a pizza and you slice it up into more slices, it doesn't create more pizza. It creates more slices, okay? And what it does to each slice, it makes each slice less pizza, less satiating power, right? So the same thing happens with the money. When the money supply increases, because the government prints more money, or because banks issue more debt, right? When banks issue debt, they also create money that wasn't existing before. And when all that adds up, it adds up to a bigger and bigger money supply. And if you're holding value in that money supply, you are being debased. That's how inflation works. You're being debased if you're saving in dollars, okay? And you'll be able to see some examples here on the show of what we've been doing to shield the value of this show from inflation in the stack recap. So we'll do that in a little bit. All right, let's bring it back here. Start some little background music here. There we go. And yeah, let's get into the Why We Stack segment. Why We Stack. Here we go. Why We Stack. It's just me talking with a little inspirational background music. Okay, we're going to look at the US debt clock. Okay, in the browser. There it is. We are now about to hit $36.5 trillion in debt as a country. Okay, we're not generating enough tax revenue to even cover the interest on that debt. Okay, that's just one way that the money supply will have to increase. Because we owe that much money, we'll have to borrow our way towards paying that, and therefore the money supply will continue to increase. Okay, on top of that, when a bank issues a debt, like for a house loan, for a car loan, or for a business, that debt that they issue creates money in the system, right? And so that's another thing that's growing the supply of money, that of the same kind of money that you're holding. Okay, so as long as the money supply continues to grow and expand, right, the individual purchasing power of each dollar will continue to decrease faster and faster, right? And when you look at this number here that's growing so fast, like that's $100,000 right now, and that's another 100,000, and that's another 100,000, right? I'm looking at this number here, guys. 100,000, 100,000, 100,000. Do you think you can work and create value faster than our debt is going up? If you cannot, you will not be getting wealthier. You'll be getting to work harder and harder for the same lifestyle you already have. You're gonna have to work harder and harder over time just to maintain that current lifestyle, because the money we're participating in is every day making you poorer just by the fact that you're holding it. Okay, so the solution for this is to just hold whatever value you don't need immediately and put that into a savings account that we call Bitcoin. Okay, why Bitcoin though? Why does that matter? Why Bitcoin and why not anything else? Well, we're not going to break down everything today, but let's just say that Bitcoin is the scarcest thing you can own. What is it? Why does that matter? What does that mean? Well, what gives things value is its scarcity. Okay, the fact that you cannot make more Bitcoin than already exists, 21 million, means that you can't do the same thing that you can do to the dollar, which is make more of it, and in making more of it, you steal from other people, right? Bitcoin is fixed. You can't make more of it, and since that is the case, it's harder money than dollars or any other government currency. And when that happens, that means that as more money gets printed, it takes more and more of those weaker monies to buy the same amount of Bitcoin. Therefore, if you're holding Bitcoin, the value of your savings increases in purchasing power over time by you not doing anything else but just holding it. That's all you have to do is buy it, take custody of it, and the value of your savings will increase, like I said, without you having to do anything extra. And that's the beauty of Bitcoin, right? The one phrase or the elevator pitch that we end this segment on every day is, if I was going to walk into an elevator and you said, all right, you got a minute to tell me why I should be saving in Bitcoin, I would say this and only this. I would say, all right, saving in Bitcoin is like traveling back in time and giving yourself a perpetually increasing retroactive raise for the hours you've already worked for as long as you hold the Bitcoin that represents those hours. Okay. If you have any questions about that, put it in the chat and I can explain those different parts. Take that statement, dissect it, and it'll make things a little bit more clear, hopefully. Okay. On top of that, we're going to go into our stack for the day, because we've been stacking your Bitcoin here since May 22nd, 2023. Monday through Friday, just buying Bitcoin, $5 at a time, $10 at a time, $20 at a time now. And you'll be able to see our whole earnings for the whole about 20 months, 21 months now. Okay. And then we're also going to track, we also track every year. So I'll show you guys the 2024 stack and the 2025 stack, what we're doing so far with that stack. Okay. So that is the gist of it. And that is why we stack. If you're watching the replay, do leave questions in the comments. I've been seeing some of those come through. That's pretty good. Let's jump into the next topic, the next segment, which is, here we go, stack recap, because we don't only talk about stacking Bitcoin here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern. We do it every day, well, every weekday anyway. And let's get into our stack, okay? Get into the actual numbers. Okay, We've been stacking Bitcoin, like I said, May 22nd, 2023, but let's start with just this year. In 2025, we've saved $980 into Bitcoin and accumulated 991,145 Satoshis, or fractions of a Bitcoin, pennies of a Bitcoin, if you want to say it that way. And we're at 0.009 Bitcoin. This is the same number. It just moves a digit over to the right 8 spaces to give you the Satoshi equivalent. Satoshis are still Bitcoin. It's just a different way to address things. If I tell you I have 991,000 Satoshis, it rolls off the tongue better than if I say I have 0.0099 Bitcoin. Okay, that's the only difference. We just moved the decimal point over to the right 8 spaces. Okay, so here is our stack for 2025, and we are down minus 1.39% for the year so far. But based on the rules of the show, we've been stacking a double stack. So every day we buy at least $20. But on days like today, when the price of Bitcoin is below our average buy price for 2025, we buy $40. So we've been buying $40 for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For 8 days, we've been buying $40 stacks. And today, since the price of Bitcoin is still below our average buy price, we're going to buy another $40 stack, okay? So that's pretty wild. All right. So you might be looking at this if you just got started with saving in Bitcoin and wondering to yourself, damn, that's a lot of... he's already down minus 1.39%. I mean, that's not a lot, right? But people get freaked out because it seems volatile, right? Like it's going up and down a lot, and you're like down. I've been down for like almost a couple of weeks, right? Since the beginning of the month. And so it can get a little bit scary, right? But if you take a step back and look at last year, the whole year, so a year's worth of saving in Bitcoin, and I'm only counting the buys that we did in 2024. Here on the show, we saved up $7,345, and those $7,345 turned into $11,939 so far, for a gain of about 62%. So what kind of investment is going to give you a 62% gain in a year? That's pretty incredible, right? So all I had to do was save up $7,345, and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like I gained like $5,000 or 4,000, almost $5,000 here, just by holding it. I didn't have to do anything else. I didn't have to do any extra work to earn the additional $5,000. All I did was just buy it, hold the Bitcoin that it represents, and the longer I hold it, the more valuable this Bitcoin becomes, because the purchasing power of the dollar is going down. So the further you go into the future, the more of the weaker money you need to buy the better money. Okay, so in this case, this proves to you that the purchasing power of the dollar in terms of Bitcoin has gone down about 62%. So you need 62% more dollars to buy the same amount of Bitcoin. Granted, in 2025, the purchasing power of the dollar has gone up against Bitcoin, up about 1.37%. Okay, so in this scenario, just in 2025, you can say that it would be better to hold the dollars in this scenario, right? But as the price of Bitcoin starts to come up, and since we've been buying like pretty much double stacks for the past 10 days, you'll see the explosion of value and increase in purchasing power we have as soon as Bitcoin starts to come up a little bit from where it's at now. Okay, but again, don't be afraid. Buy and keep buying. Okay, then we go to the Stack Bitcoin show here, and we get the whole bag for the whole lifespan of the show, and that is May 22nd, 23. We started with our first purchase, $5 back when Bitcoin was $27,000, and that $5 purchase turns into $17 so far, right? This $25 purchase turns into almost $100, right? And we continue doing that. So far for the whole lifespan of the show, about 21 months worth of investing or saving in Bitcoin, we've saved $11,800, and those $11,800 have increased in purchasing power to $23,000, which is pretty incredible. We've pretty much doubled our savings, right? Now, here's the important part. Think about the effort it would take you to set aside and save $11,000 or pretty much $12,000, right? What would it take for you to earn an additional $12,000? Think of that in your head. I want you to visualize what you would have to do to earn an additional $11,000 or $12,000. Okay. And then you take that same idea and you just say, okay, I could do all those things that you just visualized to earn an additional $11,000. Or you could just save your money into Bitcoin and gain an additional $10,000 or $11,000 by doing none of that extra work except for just holding the Bitcoin and understanding what Bitcoin is, right? Bitcoin pays you to understand what it is, right? And yeah, don't get me wrong. There was times when Bitcoin dipped down and we were like, oh man, we're in the negative or whatever, right? But we just held and we kept buying consistently. Look at all these purchases we've done since the beginning of the show. Consistent purchasing. And here we get some red here. But for the most part, it's all green, right? To where it all averages out to, like I said, about 97% gains. Okay, so far. Okay, so it's pretty easy to start to visualize that. Okay, and so far via other methods that we've done here on the show to gain Bitcoin. For example, we've done the reclaimed sats. I sell things on OfferUp. Oh, this is down. I sell things on OfferUp, like this old sewing machine that cost me like $100. I sold it for $80 back in the day when Bitcoin was at $54,000. And now that sale of $80, I bought Bitcoin with it immediately when I sold it, and now it's as if I went back in time and sold that for $144, right? So things that today might seem like insignificant, like not worth doing, if you take the value that you generate from doing those things that are seemingly insignificant and put it into Bitcoin as a way to hold that value, then that thing that you took as not a big deal could become some significant money, right? Like, let's see here. Where's the mixer? Here's my mixer that I sold for $250 at a loss because I bought it when it was like $350 or something, or $400, right? I bought it for $300 or $400, and I sold it at a loss, and immediately I invested that money into Bitcoin. Well, that $250 has already turned to $410, so I at least broke even on that purchase if I bought it at $400, right? Plus, I'm gonna continue to hold the Bitcoin, so it might turn into something more. Okay, so if you're one of those guys that likes to do the what is it called, the simplified living, where you get rid of all the stuff you don't need, sell the stuff you don't need and put it into Bitcoin because it's gonna serve you better than the stuff around your house, right? So that is the KitchenAid. Anyway, and so through all these things, what up, BTC Moon Guy? Good to see you in here. Round of applause from the live studio audience for BTC Moon Guy. So I've sold about $883 worth of stuff, and I bought 0.13 Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin is now worth about $323, a gain of about 50% on just random stuff that I had sitting around my house that I didn't really need, converted into a better way of holding the value, right? Everything around your house is trapped value. Free up that value and get it into Bitcoin, and you'll thank yourself. Your future self will thank you for it, okay? I know. I thank my past self for thinking about doing this and getting me another 50% on stuff that was just sitting around taking up space. Okay. So on top of that, this is for somebody that's really new and doesn't get the whole idea of saving in Bitcoin is like traveling back in time and giving yourself a perpetually increasing raise as long as you hold the Bitcoin that pays for. As long as you hold a Bitcoin that represents that hour. Here it is. Okay. This is an example that we use a lot here on the show. I just want to cover it really quick. If when we started tracking, October 3rd, 2023, my favorite burrito is a carne asada, beans, cheese, and sour cream combo. It cost me $13.70. It cost me that back in October 2023. It costs me that today. And at the price of Bitcoin back in October 2023, it would cost me 49,603 fractions of a Bitcoin to buy that same burrito. Okay. Today, with the price of Bitcoin today, in order for me to come up with $13.70, it would cost me 14,063 Satoshis, right? That's such of a discount, right? That's what is it? 49 divided by 14. Okay, so for the cost of one burrito back on October 2023, for the price of one burrito at 49,000 satoshis, I could buy 3.5 burritos today. Okay. Now let's say that I'm making $13.70 an hour at my job. It's probably a terrible job because it pays terrible. But let's just say that I make $13.70 an hour. I'm spending 1 hour of my life to generate value for somebody or for a business or even for my business in order for me to generate enough wealth or enough value to buy a burrito at $13.70. It cost me 1 hour of my life for a burrito. Okay. If I buy one burrito and I also take one extra hour of my life, and instead of spending that extra $13.70, I save that extra $13.70 into Bitcoin. What is it? 2 years later, almost? No, not even that. Oh yeah, it's about almost 2 years. Let's say a year and a half later. The expense of me feeding myself a burrito is now only costing me. What is that? What's let's see, that's 60 minutes. 3.5. Now instead of costing me 1 hour of my life force of working for somebody, it only costs me 17 minutes of my life to buy myself my carne asada, beans, cheese, and sour cream burrito. Okay, this is what I mean when I say that saving in Bitcoin is like traveling back in time and giving yourself a perpetually increasing retroactive raise for the hours you've already worked for as long as you hold a Bitcoin that represents those hours. These are the Bitcoins that represent those hours. $13.70 worth of labor at the time would buy you 49,603 satoshis. In today's time, right? At the price of Bitcoin today, it'll only buy you 14,000 satoshis. Okay, so you've in essence, you can think of it two different ways. You can think of it as you did extra hours at work that you didn't have to actually do, or you got a raise for the hours you already worked without having to actually do any extra work. You already worked those hours. Carlos Aramillo in the house. What up? Round of applause from the live studio audience for Carlos Aramillo. Viernes con V de voy a comprar más Bitcoin. Hoy, let's go. That's awesome. More Bitcoin today. That's how we do. That's how we do. Okay, so that's the idea, guys. So then you take that same concept, and you might be thinking to yourself, whatever, burritos. I don't care how much a burrito is. I can pay for a burrito. No big deal, right? But now you take that same concept, and it scales. It scales to whatever thing you're paying for. In this case, that national average of rent or mortgage in the United States, based on the Google search we did about a couple months ago, it is about $2,500 is your mortgage, is the average mortgage. Okay. So if you were if you were to have, let's say, a $5,000 surplus, not surplus, let's say you had $5,000 each month that you had two options to do with this money. And these are your two options. Option one is you pay your mortgage of $2,500, and on top of that, you do a double payment on your mortgage. So you pay an extra $2,500 to get your principal down sooner, right? A lot of people do that. They'll pay extra on their mortgage so that they can drop the principal and pay less interest over time. Okay, but all that stuff is front loaded, so most of your interest you're paying is the first couple of years or the beginning of your loan. So anyway, let's just keep that in your mind. The second option, if you had $5,000 to pay towards your mortgage each month, you take $2,500 and you pay the minimum mortgage that you have to pay for your mortgage, so you're solvent and you're not. You don't get repossessed or you don't get like a delinquency, right? Or late on your payment. You pay the minimum mortgage of $2,500, okay? And you take the other $2,500 and you buy Bitcoin with it instead of adding to your extra payment, okay? What happens then? Well, the cost of your loan is in terms of dollars. So the bank doesn't care how you get those dollars as long as you hit that dollar mark, okay? So they don't care if you pay with today's dollars or if you pay with tomorrow's dollars or if you pay with next month's dollars or next year's dollars. All they care about is that you hit a certain dollar amount to pay back that loan that's denominated in dollars. Clear? Good. Okay, so you take the extra $2,500 that you would have sent as a second payment to your loan, and instead you buy Bitcoin with it, or you save it into Bitcoin, and now you have an asset that is growing faster than the interest rate of your loan. Okay, so for example here, let's say that 2 years ago, 2 years and a month ago now, right? January 1st, 2023, your mortgage is $2,500. On that date, for $2,500, you could have bought 15 million Satoshis here. Okay. And let's just say February 2 years ago, you did the same thing. You did your normal basic payment to your mortgage, and then you took the extra $2,500 and you invested it into Bitcoin. You would have another 15 million Satoshis here, right? And so 2 years later, looking at the price of Bitcoin today and using that to calculate how much Bitcoin you need to sell in order to hit that $2,500 payment today, it's pretty incredible. Yeah, 15,243 divided by 2,566. You have about 5.97%. You have about 5.97, about 6 payments. So for every one $2,500 payment that you didn't pay extra and you just saved into Bitcoin 2 years ago, today you have enough to cover about 6 months worth of mortgage. So for 1 month worth of one extra payment that you could have done about 2 years ago, now you have 6 months worth of mortgage that you don't have to worry about. So you do that for 2 months in a row, and now you have a whole year's worth of mortgage covered just because you saved $5,000 about 2 years ago. Okay. And if you were doing that the whole way and the whole time, you'd have a lot more of that exponential growth to your purchasing power, which is what's important. Okay. What happened is the value of the dollar is going down so fast against Bitcoin that just by being in Bitcoin, your purchasing power goes up because the value of the dollar is dropping so fast. And since your loan is denominated in dollars, right? They don't care where you get the money. They don't care how you grew your money. As long as you can hit the $2,500 payment, they'll be happy to hold that payment and hold that loan for you for the term of the loan, right? Because they think they're making money, right? The banks think they're making money off of you for paying like 2 or 3%, 4%, 5% on your mortgage. They are making money, right? But they're making money slower than the rate of inflation. They're not even beating inflation. So in essence, delaying your loan and taking the extra cash and putting it in Bitcoin is going to make you wealthier, and it's going to damage the banks because they're getting paid back with weaker money. Okay, I know it's a whole mental shift, but that is the idea. This is why Bitcoin makes you wealthier just by holding it. Okay, this is why saving in dollars is like they say, saving in melting ice cubes. Okay, and especially now. What up, Derry Duke? Sorry to interrupt you guys. What's up, Derry Duke? Good to see you in here. Round of applause from the live studio audience. So, putting the ice cubes on the skillet, it intensifies it because the skillet is inflation, right? It's going to be melting anyway. But now you have all this extra inflation. If like all these tariff wars going to happen, if all that kicks in, then immediately the prices of everything is going to go up even more, right? And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Okay. So shield yourself, shield your savings from that inflation, and not only shield your savings from that inflation, but actually grow your savings by holding it in Bitcoin, grow your purchasing power. Okay. Because that is what wealth is. Wealth is your purchasing power. Okay. If your purchasing power grows, you can buy more things. You can choose to do what you want to do with your time because you don't have to commit so much of your time to just staying afloat and paying for things and staying alive, right? They want you to work your hands to the bone, to work your fingers to the bone. They want you to keep working, so you don't have time to look up and see what's happening. Okay, so the best thing you could do for yourself and for your future and for your family and for your descendants, right, is to start stacking Bitcoin so that you can understand, so that they can have the scarcest thing that exists as an asset class in the history of humanity. I know it's that deep. Sounds crazy, but it's that deep. Okay. All right. So let's see. What up, bro? Nice to see you. Good to see you, Derry. Thanks for tuning in. But 100,000 sats just now. Let's go. 2037, by the way, will be worse. I don't know. It will. It's gonna be crazy. The point is here that people say like, oh well, it's like it's not a guarantee. It goes up and down. Yeah, it does. But the supply is capped. That's guaranteed, right? And what's also pretty much guaranteed is, do you think that Democrats or Republicans are going to be in office and be like, okay, I think we should stop the money printer and stop printing all this money that we don't have that's backed by nothing? Or do you think that either party, whoever's in office, they're going to continue to abuse the money printing privilege, and in so doing, increasing the money supply, and in so doing, debasing the value of your saving to the point that you can have a job, a second job, and an Uber on the side and still not be making it? That sucks. That sucks. All right. That is the crazy long version of why we stack. And no, that wasn't why we stack. That was a stack recap. Okay. So that is a stack recap. Real quick, to bring it back to square one where we were. We are down about minus 1.43% for the year for 2024. And today the price of Bitcoin is below our average buy price for 2025. So today we're going to buy a $40 stack, a double stack on the show here live. We're doing that right now. So now that we know how much Bitcoin we're going to buy, there's only one thing left to do. Oh yeah. It's time to stack some Bitcoin, baby. All right, here we go. As you guys know, I like to stack over on Strike. Bring up the app. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna buy $40. Buying $40 worth of Bitcoin today on the February 14th. I didn't even do a Valentine's Day thumbnail because whatever. We're not here we're here to stack. Go hit next. Okay, and then I'm gonna go cut the music. Drum roll, please. Hit confirm. Buying $40 worth of Bitcoin today on the Stack Bitcoin show. Valentine's Day stack. There it is. And just like that, we've stacked an additional, let's see here, 40,669 Satoshis. Hey, it feels good to get at least 20,000 Satoshis per $20. It's when we start getting those like 18,000 Satoshis for $20. That's like, ouch. That's thanks to being able to still stack at under $100,000 Bitcoin. Mark my words. You're going to be looking back at episodes like today. Like today, we look back at our stack. Oops, sorry guys. Like today, we look back at our stack, our original stack, our first stack. What would you do to be able to go back 21 months and stack at $27,360 Bitcoin? Sheesh. Would you stack a $5 stack? Right? What would you do to be able to go back to $25,151 Bitcoin? Jeez. That day we thought we were doing good. We thought, well, you know what? Let's do a quadruple stack. We did like $25 that day. We're like, oh, we're going above and beyond. We should have done more. In Bitcoin, once you understand what it is and you realize how it works, and you start to see your purchasing power grow in real time, the only regret you're going to have is not stacking harder at the beginning. That is the regret you'll have. Stack or die, let's go. Today's purchase was at $97,420.64. That is the price of Bitcoin we deserve today. You get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. At whatever time you start stacking, that is the price you deserve. And there's no shame in it. Okay? 40669. If you can buy Bitcoin and hold it for any 4-year cycle, you, in essence, are in the positive. Okay, let's copy here. There it is. We've stacked an additional 40,000 Satoshis. Oops, is that right? Yeah. No, I think it's sticking right here. We stacked an additional 40,000 Satoshis. And for 2025, we are at $1,020 worth of savings in Bitcoin, and it's currently worth $1,003. We're down 1.58%. But look at this. The amount of Bitcoin that we've been stacking continues to go up regardless of the price of it in Bitcoin. The price of it in dollars. The price in dollars is always going to fluctuate. But one Satoshi is still worth one Satoshi. One Bitcoin is still worth one Bitcoin. And as long as we keep stacking, the value, the amount of Bitcoin that we're holding continues to go up. And we hit a milestone today for 2025. We finally hit the 1 million Satoshi mark, the 0.01 Bitcoin mark for 2025. There it is. We're Satoshi millionaires already in 2025, and we're still about mid-February, which is pretty good. Pretty good. All right, let's take this data and put it into the spreadsheet for the whole lifespan of the show. Over here. Bam. Just like that. Let's see what the stack is now for the whole show. How close are we to one Bitcoin? 0.333776643 is our stack for the whole show. Still valued at about $32,452.75. Like not bad, right? Like our show is small, our audience is slowly growing. We made it to 354 subscribers, is that right? 355 subscribers? Dang, moving up in the world. Our all-time high for subscribers. Yeah, what can I say? Slow and steady. I'm here to help beginners understand what Bitcoin is and help you avoid the pitfalls that are poop coins, yield products, NFTs, ETFs, all that stuff. All you need to do is buy Bitcoin, take custody of that Bitcoin into a wallet you have the keys for, and repeat. It's that easy. Okay? It's that easy. You don't have to go you don't have to go become a stock trading guru, a real estate developer, or anything like that to just be able to retain the value of your savings, the value of your hard work. All you got to do, like I said, is buy Bitcoin, take custody of that Bitcoin, and repeat. All right, let's get into the Q&A section of the show. If you have any questions, any comments, anything funny, anything clever you want to say here on a Friday, put it in the chats. Let's have a little quick discussion before we wrap this episode up. It's crazy to see that the show is up to like $32,000 of value. That's pretty cool, right? What I was saying about being a small show is it's a good opportunity for you guys to ask questions if you're new to the scene, if you're trying to learn about Bitcoin. Ask questions: how to buy the Bitcoin, where to buy the Bitcoin, how to hold the Bitcoin, hot wallets, cold wallets, UTXOs, all that stuff we've covered in previous episodes, but I don't mind covering it again. Okay, and just different ways to start seeing how you can find things within your life to not necessarily cut out, but redirect some of those resources that you might be kind of wasting, right? Like if you're spending $5 on a Starbucks coffee every day, that's how we started on the show, right? We started with a $5 purchase every day, every weekday, to simulate that you're going to work, and instead of buying that Starbucks coffee, right? Instead of buying that Starbucks coffee, you save it into Bitcoin, right? What is that? Is it 52 days is it 52 days a year? Sorry, 52 weeks a year times 5. 260 days of buying Starbucks coffees at $5 each. That's $1,300 that you drank and peed away. Whereas if you would have bought $1,300 worth of Bitcoin along the way, you'd be up a great deal. Your $1,300 of Starbucks coffee money could be like 2,000 today or more, right? So it doesn't take a lot. The barrier to entry to get into this asset class that is Bitcoin is so low. All you need is a phone with internet that can run an app. Okay, that's that easy. And then on top of that, once you get a good little stack going of at least, I don't know, a couple $100, I would start considering looking into saving into a cold storage device. Probably cost you around $100 to get a cold storage device, and that's how it works. Super easy. Cool. All right, let's get into this last track of the show to set up the end on a Friday. Wrapping the episode up. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show. Pipeline Podcast in the house. Let's go. 52 minutes late, but you're here, dude. You're here. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. Watch the replay, heart it up, and do all that good stuff. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend, guys. Do all the fun stuff you want to do, and find ways, get rid of the stuff that you can get rid of so you can turn that stuff into Bitcoin, so turn that stuff into Satoshis, all right? Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys here tomorrow. Oh, sorry, not tomorrow. I'll see you guys here on Monday for another episode of the Stack Bitcoin Show. But until then, remember, if you ain't stacking, you're slacking. Later, guys.